Hi, Phil Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine with another unboxing video, and this time we're looking at John Entwistle, the Ox Box. This is absolutely superb. So before I go any further, let's have a look inside the box. This is a look into the John Entwistle, the Ox Box set, which is from Entwistle Records. So it's a clamshell box with the CDs and the booklet inside. I don't know if you can see that. I'll do my best to bring it closer in. So it's a 6 CD set, includes Smash Your Head Against the Wall, Whistle Rymes, Rigor Mortis Sets In, Mad Dog, Too Late the Hero and The Rock, plus 29 bonus tracks, plus guest appearances from Joe Walsh, Peter Frampton, Jimmy McCulloch, Howard Casey, Eddie Jobson, Dick Parry and Zach Starkey, with a 28-page booklet. On the back of the box you've got the albums with all the bonus tracks. You can see that there are multiple bonus tracks on each of these albums. So let's do the booklet last of all. And the CDs won't be in exactly the right order because I've been playing them. But the first one is Smash Head Against the Wall. And what I do like about these is, again, they've got the little gatefold sleeve. So wherever there was an original gatefold sleeve with the vinyl edition all those years ago, they replicated it on the CD. So the full story behind each of these album designs is in the booklet. So that's the first one. And the next one, which looks like a children's storybook. You probably are a little bit going to be visually challenged there, but they have replicated this as much as they possibly can. And all the tracks on the back. Rigor Mortis Sets In. The gatefold sleeve and the tracks on the back. Then Mad Dog with a scary dog on the front and the tracks on the back. Too Late the Hero, which is a single sleeve, and finally, but certainly not last, as I'll tell you in the summary, is The Rock. And the booklet itself is stitched together, not with staples. It's nice paper stock, and you've got all the details from the first album, May 1971, details from where the bonus tracks are from as well, and all the original stories from the gatefold sleeve. The original artwork is there from Whistle Rymes 1972. So they've done all of that, so they haven't just kept it to one page if they need more than one page to give the details. Then the Rigor Mortis album from 1973, Mad Dog from 1975, and then Too Late the Hero, which is with Joe Walsh, and then The Rock from it says it was released in 1996, but it was recorded in 1985 to 1986. And then you've got the story behind the albums themselves, which is really extensive, goes through every single one, all warts and all. So all the good times and the bad times, Peter Frampton, etc. This is written by Alan Robinson, December 2023. Mastering is by Phil Kinraid at Alchemy and Air Mastering. And special thanks to Chris Entwistle for his assistance with this project. And on the back is some stories from the inner circles of The Who, what happened when they were playing in 1973, and when Townsend flipped out and basically grabbed Bobby Pridden from the scruff of the neck and pulled him to the ground by the mixing disc. So the full story about that, so it's a nice touch as well. So that's the booklet, and that is John Entwistle, the Ox Box set, 6 CD box set from Entwistle Records, and now I'll tell you what I think of it. So that's John Entwistle, the Ox Box set, 6 CDs, his entire solo album collection in a box with literally 29 bonus tracks as well. You know, a great cast of well-known rock musicians on here, as you saw as I went through that. So, what are my thoughts? I'm a massive fan of John Entwistle, but I'll be honest, I had not heard any of his solo material. I always felt that John Entwistle's compositions were kind of lent towards more the rock side of The Who. Bear with me on that, especially as we go through The Who's career. Obviously, Pete Townsend in Quadrophenia, Who's Next, Live at Leeds, it's all about, Townsend in a way. But towards the latter part of The Who's career, especially the Kenny Jones albums, when I bought those albums, I was kind of disappointed with the way where the band was going. So I looked towards the John Entwistle compositions because they were always the rockiest tracks on them. Also, the Who are unique in that literally everybody plays lead. Obviously, he's a lead vocalist, but those of you who know the Who will know what I mean, that John Entwistle played lead bass and Keith Moon was lead drums. And obviously, in some ways, Pete Townshend was almost like the rhythm player in some parts of their career. And these albums really show just how remarkable and unique John Entwistle was. Now, I read through the notes first before I put one CD on, and a couple of people in the Now Spinning Facebook group had said, oh, the first one, Phil, Smash Your Head Against the Wall. That's great. 1971, with an opening track that isn't that far removed from Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, literally 2 years before it came out. It's a real hard rock album, screaming guitars. It was Dave Langston on guitars. Absolutely fantastic album. The next one, which came out in 1972, with John Alcock, produced it. This one is more whimsical in a way. It's a whimsical cover, as you saw. It's good. And I felt like as I was going through this part of the CD, I thought, yeah, this is solo material. I can see he was stretching his wings, trying to get out stuff that he couldn't get into the Who framework, etc. And in the sleeve notes, it mentions that the next two were kind of like rock and roll. Rigor Mortis Sets In, where it says on the gatefold sleeve, in loving memory of rock and roll from 1950... never really passed away, just ran out of time. And it kind of hints in the booklet that John Entwistle kind of took not a wrong turn, but kind of wasn't really aware of what was going on around him. Now, in some ways, when was this? This is 1973. He was aware of what was going around him because that was the day with David Essex and Ringo Starr had come out, and there was a lot of interesting KTEL kind of rock and roll kind of compilations. So I was expecting not to like this, but I did like this. There were lots of tracks on here that I really liked. Some of them, like Made in Japan, are really funny about everything that was made in Japan back then. My Wife, of course, is a reworking of the Who track by John Entwistle. Lucille, Big Black Cadillac, BP, Big Gallon Jingle. I really liked it. I thought it was a fun album, and actually I just felt myself really, really leaning into it. Tony Ashton's on here as well. I absolutely liked it. Now the next one, which is Mad Dog, was also seen as it overstayed his welcome in this kind of world. I disagree. I like this one even more. And there's an instrumental on here called Jungle, which is really of its time, but really kind of funky, rocky. And that was probably my favourite moment from this album. Again, Tony Ashton's on here. Doreen Shanter, Irene Shanter, remember them? Always backing vocals on nearly all the rock albums back at that time. Eddie Jobson. A superb album. It really, really is. Just before I move on, have I missed anything out that I wanted to tell you about? I don't think so, have I? No. Or was it on the first one? Bear with me. There's something I just want to mention. Yes, there is. Before I move on, it's on this one. Going back to the first one, there's another version of Heaven and Hell on here, which is by The Who, by John Entwistle. His bass playing is absolutely incredible. It's such a unique sound. Chris Squire had that unique sound for Yes in the prog world, but for John Entwistle's bass player, for those of you who just have not really dug deep into The Who or watched the videos, John Entwistle is like a machine. Anyway, it's this one, Too Late the Hero, that really launches this box set to me. It was his best-selling solo album as well. This has got Joe Walsh on it, and Joe Walsh plays fantastically. Peter Frampton is also on some of them. I think he's on the second one. I'm sorry I'm bouncing around here, but I've been playing this on and off and just grabbing the CDs where they are. And I think it was Peter Frampton on there, wasn't it? I think. Yes, Peter Frampton's on the second one. Great guitar player as well. But this one, this is really from the 80s. Great sound, great songs, but absolutely brilliant bass playing, but intertwined with great rock songs. As I played this album, I just started to keep looking at the cover, looking at the book set. You know, Try Me, Talk Dirty, Love Board, Sleeping Man, I'm Coming Back, Dancing Masters, brilliant. Fallen Angel, Love is a Heart Attack, and Too Late the Hero at 7 minutes 23 seconds. Absolutely fantastic. In fact, as I played it, I thought back to where I was in 1981, listening to heavy metal and stuff, and I would have, I'd listened to The Who, but their star was fading. The new world was opening up with a new wave of British heavy metal, and the Americans were starting to come over and everything. I wouldn't have bought this. I would have thought, it's going to be typical rock star, does solo album, and he'll do like funk and maybe reggae or something that's completely far removed from his template of what he's known for. He didn't. In fact, he was more close to the template where I would have wanted The Who to go. It's an immaculate album. And for those of you who've lived with it for 40 plus years, I don't know, where have I been? But absolutely love this. And then I thought there's one CD left to listen to now called The Rock. Recorded in 1986, 85, when The Who were kind of like, they'd split up, and it was like an idea that this is what John Entwistle was going to do next. He was forming a band for his future. This was not released for 10 years after that, to the mid-90s, because obviously The Who started to come back, and John Entwistle thought, probably better if I stay under the brand I'm known for. And reading that in the sleep notes made me think, it's probably wasn't sure what to do. It's mid-80s, it's a funny time for artists from the 60s. Didn't get released for 10 years, so it's probably not that good. Wow. This, to me, is the best CD in the box. You have to almost take John Entwistle's name away from it, only in the way it looks, because it's not the best of covers, is it? But this is a great 80s rock album. Vocalist, Henry Small. He's like a carbon copy of Stephen Walsh from Kansas, and the music has that kind of, it's not prog like Kansas, but it's rock songs like Kansas, that kind of 80s, big drums, big guitars, fantastic choruses, great melodies. It's a rock album from the 80s. It sounds like a rock album from the 80s, and it's got really heavy metal guitar runs, guitar solos. John Entwistle's bass is bubbling everywhere. It's incredible. I had no idea this existed. And the other thing about this album for me, and I listened to it in succession, some of these I listened to more than once because they didn't sink in. The second one didn't, and after I'd played it, I thought, I can't remember some of the stuff on it. So I kept going back thinking about doing this review, and I didn't, some of the songs I didn't like as much as others, that kind of thing. That one I've mentioned just, but this one, every single track. And as I was reviewing it, I was thinking, well, shall I just, get a feel for each track, and then I'll come back and listen to it afterwards. I listened to the whole album in full. Every track, Stranger in a Strange Land, Love Doesn't Last, Susie, Bridges Under the Water, Heartache, Billy, Life After Love, Hurricane, Too Much Too Soon, Last Song, Country Hurricane. And I was going to think, well, I couldn't believe how great it was. And then I looked down and thought, oh, there's some demo songs. But I thought, actually, the first 3 bonus tracks on this album are all outtakes. Thought maybe they weren't quite as good. Casualty, Light in the Dark, Break Your Heart. Every one of those 3 tracks is as good as anything on the full album. 14 killer songs from a John Entwistle solo album that never saw the light of day until the mid-90s. Would it have taken his career in a different direction? I imagine most rock fans would have not listened to it because it was John Entwistle. Not because they didn't like John Entwistle, but their preconceived ideas would have held it back. Perhaps it should have had a different name with John Entwistle on bass. Maybe not. But it is what it is. But when I say it is what it is a lost classic rock album. So I totally recommend this for Who fans or people that love rock music, or you're trying to discover more about the Who. This set, well put together as you saw in the unboxing, I think it's fantastic. There's so many extra tracks. It's a comprehensive booklet. You can't get these things individually. This is a great way of getting them. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. And as I said, and I put more weight into this review at the end of the CDs. That is what really surprised me, is just how amazing the album's got the more you go on, and I love the rock and roll ones as well. So thank you for watching, thank you for being here, thank you for all of your support and all your comments and reaching out to me across social media and emails, etc. Check out the website at naspinning.co.uk, subscribe to the podcast, become a Patron or YouTube member. Thank you all for helping me follow my passion. Remember, music is the healer and the doctor, and I shall see you all very, very soon.